Hey friends, Dan Prozowski from allaboutminibikes.com. Today we're going to talk about how I'm going to try to rebuild a motor, or at least get it started. Might not do any rebuilding if I can get it started, and what and how I'm going to do it. So this here is a 2.5 horsepower motor that came off of a mini bike that I picked up, a 1969/70 Sears Runabout. And somebody online helped me identify it. And I'll talk about that in a second. But it says Spider up here, and somebody else online, before I realized what I had, said it was not a Spider, it was a Runabout. They knew the bikes really, really well, and that's why he wrote on there, it must have been somebody working on a Friday, and I didn't get it at first, but Friday's always the day you're trying to get out of there, so they not always do great of a job. So they put the Spider mini bike, which was the next upgrade. So it was the Runabout was the lowest, about $119. The next one up was the Spider at I think like 136 or something like that, and that had a handbrake, I believe, as well as maybe front suspension. Maybe not, I'd have to look at it. But it had a bigger 3 or 3.5 horsepower motor, and the Runabout, the least expensive one, had the 2.5 horsepower motor, and that's what this is, a 2.5 horsepower motor. So anyway, that's why you see Spider on there. Now, when I got it also, I couldn't do anything with it. It was laying on the bike. It was not bolted down to it. And in fact, the pull starter was on it with one bolt running in through the head like supposed to. Well, one of the bolts that was in it, they're supposed to have two. One of them was in it, but it wasn't even screwed in tight or anything. I tried to pull it, and this was plopping off and everything. But anyway, the guy came down to a price that was very, very low, and it was reasonable, really reasonable. So I picked it up. By the time I got it home and realized what I had, I thought, wow, this is really great. So I've got the bike over there, and I'm going to be working on that one also. I'm doing a couple projects at one time, but I'm going to start on this. And the reason why is that as I ended up turning it, and I do have good compression, but of course it's been laying there with the gas tank open, gas can open. I got into there and I could see there was no rust at all, and so that looked really, really good. I still see the fuel filters in there. Hoses and everything are getting old, but I've never worked on one of these, so this is going to be an experiment for me. So what I'm going to do, I went out and because it was missing three bolts in there, I went and got the 3 that I needed. There's still one off here. That was the one holding it. I pulled it so that I could get this cowling off, and I get it off, especially because it became easier to identify. The serial number and the model number and everything were down there, as you can see. This right here, I really can't read it. It started to come off right away when I started to wipe it. Kind of bummed about that. So my main thing is I want to get this motor running, and I want to get it back on the Runabout, and that's pretty much all together too. Just a little bit to be done to it. The fork held on together by the bolt, it's not the proper bolt, so I got to work with that. So the first thing that I'm going to do here, just to see if it works, is I'm going to end up taking the plug up and out. I'll have it connected, and I want to see if it gets a spark. If I see that it gets a spark, that right there is number one thing that has to be done. So then usually the second thing, as long as it's getting spark and there would be gasoline going through, if the carburetor would be good, it should be able to start. At least that's fundamentally what I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the spark plug out. I'm going to attach this, see if I can get it pulled at the same time, trying to look at it and see if I'm getting spark. If I'm getting spark, I may just take this carburetor off and try to rebuild it myself, or take it down to a shop. I couldn't get my 1970 Mitor ramjet. No matter what I did, I couldn't get it to stay running with that carburetor, and I took it down there, and they put it in that cleaner type solution thing that vibrates away. They did that for me, and I got it back, put it on, and that bike is run like just perfectly now. I've had no issues with that carburetor. So I'll end up maybe doing the same with this. I'll see. The first thing I got to do is see if we got spark. So let's check that out.